All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to night 84 of coverage of the war in Ukraine. I'm your host, Andrew Mercado, and thank you so much for choosing Mercado Media as your source of the war each and every night. Shout out to everybody that subscribes to the channel. Shout out to everybody that follows the page. Thank you for everybody checking in, commenting where you're tuning in from, what city, what state, where in the world you guys are watching from. Make sure you like the video, you have your notifications turned on. I'm not sponsored by anybody yet, but I am supported. But I am supported by the viewers. So shout out to all the viewers that do support. Tonight we're going to be talking about the United States returning to the capital city of Kyiv within the Ukraine. We're going to be providing an update on NATO situation as Sweden and Finland apply to join NATO, and Turkey seemingly putting a wrench in that plan. We're going to be talking about the combat footage in the east. We're going to be going through all the latest combat clips. We're going to be going through the map, all the latest updates and changes to the map. We're going to be going through the entire timeline of Mariupol from the invasion until now, and how Russia was able to take the city of Mariupol, which is a southeastern port city. About 960 Ukrainian fighters have been evacuated from that steel plant into Russian-controlled camps and territories. So we're going to be talking about that as well. All that to come and more. Thank you guys again for choosing Mercado Media. I'll be right back after this short intro. All right, everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. How are you guys doing this evening? Comment in the chat how you are doing. Welcome to Mercado Media. Again, I'm your host, Andrew Mercado, and we're going to be going over all of the latest updates surrounding the war in Ukraine with combat footage. We're going to be going into the latest news stories, the updates to the war map. We're going to be covering all of that. I cover a little bit more than just the combat updates, but we do get to those. Those will be coming towards the the second or the last third of the stream, if you will. Texas is tuned in. How you doing, Texas? We got Fresno, California. Go Ukraine in the chat. We got Chittensville, Ohio. Interesting, Brendan. All right. So if you guys want to follow along here in the description of our video, you can click on overview on Facebook or just close the chat out and follow along again in the description of our video. Russia claims 959 Ukrainian soldiers were taken into captivity from Azovstal. The Ukrainian authorities said that 264 people were taken from the steel plant in Mariupol to Russian-controlled cities on May 16th and would likely be put up for prisoner exchange. Ukraine didn't say what the plan was for the troops who remained at Azovstal. Earlier reports by Ukrainian officials suggested that approximately 1,000 people were still at the plant. And again, that is the, I'll show you guys really quick before we divert too far from that. Here is the Azovstal plant in this port city of Mariupol, if you have not seen it yet. Here it is on the satellite. It was the last remaining holdout of Ukrainian troops at this plant. The civilians were evacuated 2 weeks ago. So we're going to be getting into more with that. After capturing Azovstal, the Russians seek to demolish it. According to the Kremlin-controlled RIA Novosti media outlet, Russia and its proxies are set to demolish the destroyed Azovstal steel mill. The plant was the last Ukrainian stronghold in Mariupol, so that will be interesting to see if Russia destroys it. It's been implemented there since the Soviet Union was around. It was built to withstand a nuclear blast. So the fact that they're going to level it and destroy it, we'll see. It has tunnel systems and catacombs and all types of things underneath the plant. Kremlin-led proxies claim Ukrainian commanders have not yet left the Azovstal plant. Kremlin-led Donetsk Oblast proxies claim that top-ranking commanders defending the Azovstal steel mill were not among the 960 soldiers that surrendered to the Russian forces. Antonov Airlines moved base from Kyiv's Oblast Hostomel to Leipzig Airport. Antonov confirmed that 5 AN-124-100 airplanes are now temporarily based in Leipzig and continue operation. Hostomel Airport was destroyed during a Russian advances on Kyiv in late February. They had a big helicopter battle there. Zelensky proposes extending martial law in Ukraine to the end of summer. President Volodymyr Zelensky has submitted a draft bill set to prolong martial law in Ukraine for 90 days. Zelensky imposed martial law on February 24th, with the current law set to expire on May 24th. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Kunushin announced the introduction of the ruble in all occupied territories of Ukraine. He also said that Front Now on the Zaporizhzhia NPP will work for Russia and will supply energy to Ukraine only for a fee. A 21-year-old captured Russian soldier has pleaded fully guilty to war crimes at a trial. Oops, lost my section. Lost where I was. My bad. Lost my point. A 21-year-old captured Russian soldier has pleaded fully guilty to war crimes at a trial in Kyiv. Vadim Shushmirin appeared before the first war crimes trial since Russia invaded Ukraine back in February. He is accused of killing a 62-year-old man in Ukraine's Sumy region, according to the country's prosecutor general's office. It is the first war crimes trial held since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. The prosecutor expects there to be many more. Discussion on Sweden and Finland's NATO membership applications continue. Turkey held phone calls with Sweden and Finland, as well as Germany and the US and the UK to discuss NATO membership applications of Sweden and Finland. Turkey communicated its expectations with its national security concerns, and they will be addressed in the context of these applications. Erdogan has accused the two countries of harboring members of separatist militant Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, or supporters of US-based cleric Fethullah Gulen, whom Turkey accuses of masterminding a 2016 coup attempt, which Gulen denies. U.S. President Joe Biden is set to welcome the Prime Minister of Sweden and the President of Finland to the White House on Thursday in a key show of support. NATO doesn't expect any major battlefield gains for either side in the coming weeks. I think we will be in a standstill for a while, a NATO military official with knowledge of the intelligence told officials on Wednesday. According to the official, the current NATO discussion is that the momentum has shifted significantly in favor of Ukraine. The debate within NATO circles, the official added, is now over whether it is possible for Kyiv to retake Crimea and the Donbas territory seized by Russia and Russian-backed separatists. Is now over. Let me read that one more time. According to the official, the current NATO discussion is that the momentum has shifted significantly in favor of Ukraine. The debate within NATO circles, the official added, is now over whether it is possible to Kyiv. Now they're debating whether Kyiv will retake Crimea and the Donbas territories. Let's do that in the chat. Let's do that as a poll in the chat. Do you believe Kyiv will stop at just the territories that Russia's gained since the invasion, or do you believe that they will continue on and retake Luhansk and Donetsk here? Again, these two cities here in this region of the Donbas have been under Russian control since 2014. Crimea, southern peninsula of Ukraine has been under Russian control since 2014. So when we get to our first video, I'll put a poll in the chat. Actually, I'll do that now. Thank you so much, Lisa, for the 200 stars. 200 stars. Any questions you guys might have, super chats are a great way to get my attention for questions. They do help. Independent media rocks. Thank you, Christine. They do help significantly. Shelly, another thing I'm going to implement too on these streams, and I want to talk about it before I forget, is in our Discord server, I'm going to start doing viewer question time, or like viewer discussion time, where you can ask a question or put your input in on the war. And I'm not sure what night I'm going to do that, but it's going to be a thing. So join our Discord server. There's voice chats on there. I used to do call-ins where I'd have to pay money monthly and you'd call, but I can just do that on the Discord server and then play the audio for the entire stream to listen to. So if you're interested in that, join our Discord server. I'm going to start hearing more of you guys' opinions and what you guys think after watching almost 100 days of this war. I mean, it's night 84. We're going to hit 100 eventually. I'm going to start doing that. So join our server. We're going to get the voice channel set up, and then we're going to start bringing viewers on to share your guys' thoughts and opinions. So let's start off with the first poll. Do you believe Ukraine will take back all territories Russia Do you believe Ukraine will take back all territories Russia has seized since 2014? That's going to be the question. So that includes Crimea and the Donbas region. Yes. It'll be yes, no, unsure. Unsure is fine. All right. YouTube, there you go. Facebook, give me a second. Yes. No. Unsure. Another thing I'm going to be looking to do is reaching out to Operator Starsky, seeing if I can bring him on the platform and do our next fundraiser stream. We haven't done a fundraiser stream in a while, and he's doing a bunch of them. So we can raise some money for Ukraine. I'm going to be looking to reach out to Starsky and interview him on the platforms. All right, polls should be up. There we go. Polls should be up on both Facebook and YouTube there. All right. Thank you guys for participating in our polls. All right, let's go around the country. Actually, before we do that, let's get the latest update from the Institute of War. So I looked this up. This is straight from the Institute of War on the Russian offensive campaign assessment. I'm going to read this out. So Russian occupation authorities announced plans to destroy the Azovstal steel plant and turn Mariupol into a resort city, depriving Russia of some of the most important economic benefits it hoped to reap by taking the city in its first place. Head of the Donetsk People's Republic, Denis Pushlin, stated that DNR authorities are planning to level Azovstal after completing its capture. Azovstal was a major element in Mariupol's economy before the war because of its unique function as a full-cycle metallurgical complex. The 10,000 jobs associated with the production of the plant at the billions of dollars of foreign exchange earnings and taxes it generated, and a production of about 7,000 tons of steel, 6 million tons of iron, and 4.5 million tons of rolled metal, according to the Mariupol City Council. Pushlin stated that DNR intends to rebuild Mariupol as a resort city, while admitting that 60% of the structures in Mariupol have been destroyed to the point where they cannot be rebuilt. The announced plan to turn Mariupol into a center of tourism and leisure following the complete destruction of a major city center of economic activity in Mariupol is indicative of the damage the Russian troops have inflicted on themselves through the destruction of Mariupol. Russia does not need another resort town on the Black Sea. It does not need the kind of card currency that a plant like Azovstal had generated. Oh, it does need. All right, let me read that again. So what this is saying that it doesn't need what Russia's wanting out of Mariupol. However, it does need the kind of hard currency that a plant like Azovstal has generated. This announcement epitomizes the kind of Pyrrhic victories Russian forces have won in Ukraine to the extent they have won victories at all. Interesting assessment from the Institute of War, Study of War. This is where you go. This is where you go to learn to be a general. One of them. All right, let's go around the war map now. Thank you for the Institute of War article. Reports of explosions in the Lviv region. That was 6 hours ago. We got $5 super chat. I can match $5 Aussie dollars. Thank you, Andrew. Doing $5 match super chats. Don't have any pictures for this, so just reports of explosions in the Lviv region 6 hours ago. 7 hours ago. All of these markers on the map are air raid alarms. So all these blue marks that you see to the western region of the country are air raids, air raid alarms. All right. Let's go down to Odessa, southwestern port city. Explosions are audible in Odessa. Reports of air defense engaging targets. The Russian army launched missiles into Odessa region in the early morning, Southern Operative Command. So although there's a stalemate in the east, there are still cities to the west. The southwestern port cities are still getting missile barrages. Russia's trying to complete this land bridge down here. They're trying to. Failure here between Mykolaiv and Kherson. We'll get to that. I can match that. Thank you, Nora. Odessa, red alert. So 5 hours ago. 5 hours ago, they're facing air rocket barrages. City of Odessa. Let's look that up really quick. Let's see if there's anything I can do for articles on Odessa. NBC is the only one that's written an article in the last day. Missile strikes push Russian-speaking Odessa's allegiance toward Ukraine. Odessa residents are not behaving as expected. So it's just an assessment. Looks like an analysis report. Not really a report on those strikes. Analysis reports can come in handy, but nothing really on these strikes right now. Let's work our way over to Mykolaiv. At least one wounded in a missile strike in the Mykolaiv this morning. And there's a big explosion. We do have a photo here. Oh, Rescue Lover with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that. We have 177 votes in our poll right now on YouTube. Facebook, we have... Oh man, we have 35 votes for yes, 14 votes for no, and 35 votes for unsure. So yes and unsure are tied on Facebook. Let me see where we're at on YouTube. No and unsure are tied. 46% say yes, 27% say no, and 27% say unsure. So here's the explosion in Mykolaiv, just a photo. Let's go to the source. Showing just the sky. There's no blurred trees or images here. Often in these photos, they've been blurring the infrastructure for operational security reasons. Thank you, Chris, for those 50 stars. Thank you for our star senders on Facebook. Operational security, so the Russians don't know. I mean, because they're looking at these photos too. They're using social media, and it helps so they don't see the targets that they're hitting, and they can fire and adjust, or they can adjust fire and hit the target they meant to hit. We got a super chat from Thomas Skoritek. I'll up the ante. Thanks, Andrew. Wow, Thomas, thank you so much. And Barbara with a 1999 super chat. Thanks for all you do, Andrew. Thank you so much from Barbara. Let's work our way to the southeast of Mykolaiv. At the south Ba direction, the Russian army shelled Luperiv, the Posad. I'm going to try with these cities. Posad Pokrovsky, the Yusnusk, Osokorovivka, and Novo-Voronosovkovka. Oh my goodness. This is the one with the OVOs. Novo-Voronosovka. Novo-Voronosovka. I'm going to get that one eventually. I will get this city down. General Armed Forces from the staff of Ukraine. This territory here that's lightly shaded, that's kind of grayish or light bluish, if you will. These are territories liberated from the Russian forces. So these are areas that used to be red, or used to be red shaded. You guys are going to see that up here into the north, to the northwest, and to the northeast of Kyiv, all around Chernihiv, northwest of Kharkiv, around Sumy. It wasn't looking like Sumy was another city. I thought for sure Sumy was going to get taken. The way that looked. I mean, look at they had the city surrounded, and look how Ukraine was able to rid the Russians around that city. Oh my goodness, super chat's coming in. Okay, I'll match that $20 and Christine's $5. Thank you so much, Sunka Bacon, for the super chat. And then we got It Is What It Is with the 99 super chat. Thank you, Andrew, for what you do. Thank you so much. Staying down here north of Crimea. Again, we're near the southern peninsula of Ukraine. Working our way here to 3 killed, 6 wounded as a result of a Russian shelling with MLRS Grad yesterday. That's to the east of the city, can't even say it. Berenzanuvate. It's to the east of that. We haven't gone over these cities often. Near Mykolaiv, north of Kherson. So haven't been the main cities and villages of the coverage. We got a $20 super chat from Kathy Kramer. Thank you so much. And DJ Elrad, a member for 19 months. Thank you so much to all the viewers' support this evening. Thank you so much for all that. Here's another update at Novopavlivsky and the Zaporizhia direction. No active hostilities. Russian army shelled Novo Andriivka, Kamyansky, Orikhiv, Olivsky, Poltava, and from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. All right, working our way around the country. Again, the dark shaded region has been under Russian control since 2014. So that's why you're going to see this red line, or these darker red lines around certain parts of the country. Here's Donetsk. Destroyed school in one Avdiivka. Actually, before we get to the Donbas, I almost forgot. I do have video updates on Mariupol before we get there. All right, let's do that first. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal, how Mariupol's Azovstal siege became a focal point on the war in Ukraine. Okay, so here's the Azovstal plant one more time. We're going to go back just a little bit. We're not going to get to the Donbas yet. We're going to stay in Mariupol and get the full update from the day. This is the Azovstal steel plant. Thank you, DJ Elred, for the $4.99 super chat. Here is the update from Wall Street Journal.
After months of bloody fighting, Ukrainian soldiers at the besieged Azovstal steel plant laid down their arms and started being evacuated by Russian forces as prisoners, apparently ceding control of Mariupol.
Thank you, Stacey.
Українські герої потрібні Україні живими.
Soldiers being carried out to buses could be seen in footage shared by local authorities and Russian media, after Russia announced an agreement for the wounded to leave. The site was the final holdout of Ukrainian soldiers who had resisted Russia's occupation.
How's audio? I have it up still from the trial. Let me know how audio is quick in the chat, y'all.
Of the strategic port city, even after Moscow declared control over Mariupol in late April. Here's how Azovstal, where hundreds of civilians had also taken refuge for weeks, became one of the most dramatic battles in the war and captured the world's attention. As the Russian army turned Mariupol into rubble over the course of 3 months, it failed to quickly seize the Azovstal plant. In a televised address last month, Putin ordered his troops to temporarily pause the attacks and secure the area.
Заблокируйте промышленную зону так, чтобы муху не пролетела.
The site is a Cold War-era labyrinth of warehouses, tunnels, and rail tracks spanning a territory of 4 square miles. Alongside the Azovstal fighters, hundreds of civilians got trapped. Throughout the siege, the Ukrainian soldiers posted videos of the dire situation online, showing children and women as well as the conditions they lived in and calling for help.
Угрупування противника в десятки разів перебільшує нас. Вони мають панування у повітрі, в артилерії, в угрупуваннях, які діють на суходолі, технікою та танками.
In early May, the fighters said they were let down by politicians and criticized Kyiv for abandoning them.
У нас залишається багато військовослужбовців поранених, які згідно про яких ми просимо, кричимо про допомогу. Їм потрібно надати належне належне їм потрібно надати можливість евакуюватися в першу чергу.
The Ukrainian president had called on Russia to release or exchange those remaining at Azovstal. These pleas and the worsening humanitarian situation there got the world's attention. In late April, the UN Secretary General met with the Russian president and asked to set up civilian evacuations from Azovstal. Following the visit, hundreds of people were escorted out via a United Nations-brokered humanitarian corridor. But the fighters stayed on despite dwindling prospects of a victory. The wives, girlfriends, and mothers of the Azovstal forces lobbied for their rescue. Some embarked on an international tour, including a visit to the Pope.
Thank you, Donna.
You can save their lives. Please don't let them die.
On Monday, Ukraine said about 260 fighters were taken to Russian-held areas and that they will be exchanged for captured Russian soldiers, while efforts continue to evacuate remaining defenders. The Kremlin said the soldiers would be treated in accordance with international standards. The end of the battle for Mariupol is likely to be viewed as a major victory in Moscow, but Kyiv also called it mission accomplished, as a prolonged resistance helped the Ukrainian army to organize its resources.
Завдяки оборонцям Маріуполя ми отримали критично важливий час для формування резервів, перегрупування сил та отримання допомоги від партнерів.
So that's the Mariupol update, and I do have an article with that. Mariupol has fallen to Russia. Here's what that means for Ukraine. This is coming from NPR News, Becky Sullivan, Laura Wamsley. The Ukrainian city of Mariupol is now in Russia's hands after more than 2 months of bitter fighting and constant Russian shelling that destroyed massive swaths of the city and killed thousands of civilians, according to local officials. Ukraine formally declared an end to its combat mission in Mariupol late Monday. Evacuations of Ukrainian soldiers from the Azovstal steel plant, Ukraine's last military holdout, began earlier that day. The Russian Defense Ministry says nearly 1,000 soldiers have surrendered since then, including dozens of wounded soldiers being treated at a hospital in the Donetsk region of Ukraine controlled by Russian separatist forces. It is unclear how many Ukrainian soldiers remain in Mariupol. The evacuation mission continues. It is overseen by our military and intelligence. The most influential international mediators are involved, said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Wednesday. Ukrainian officials said this week that they expect the evacuated soldiers to eventually be exchanged in prisoner war swaps, but some Russian politicians have protested that idea, calling the Mariupol defenders Nazi criminals. The fight for Mariupol has been a source of morale for Ukrainians as a David and Goliath story, said Rita Konev, an expert on the Russian military at Georgetown University. For months, Ukrainians have celebrated the small number of soldiers who managed to keep the city from falling into Russian hands despite near constant shelling and Russia's firepower advantage. The main goal was to hold back the enemy, and they did it as long as possible. Thank you to our heroes, our defenders, for holding the fort of Mariupol for such a long time, said Mayor Vadim Bochenko, speaking on Ukrainian TV Monday. Another article from Reuters. Reuters, another one of the sources that we've been using. More Ukrainian fighters surrendering in Mariupol, Russia says. So coming from Kyiv, Mariupol, Ukraine. Moscow said nearly 700 more Ukrainian fighters had surrendered in the Russian-held Mariupol as it shored up a key gain in the south, while the United States becomes the latest Western country to reopen its embassy in Kyiv, which we'll get to. Ukraine has ordered its garrison in Mariupol to stand down, but the ultimate outcome of Europe's bloodiest battle for decades remains unsolved. Top commanders of Ukraine's fighters who had made their last stand at the Azovstal steelworks in the port city are still inside the plant, according to leader of pro-Russian separatists in control of the area, Denis Pushlin, quoted by the local news agency DNA on Wednesday. Ukrainian officials have declined to comment publicly on the fate of the fighters. The state is making utmost efforts to carry out the rescue of our service personnel, military spokesman Alexander Motsianik told a news conference. Any information to the public would be great. I misread that one more time. I had a moment where I looked down for a second and Let me read that one more time. Ukrainian officials have declined to comment publicly for the fate of the fighters. The state is making utmost efforts to carry out the rescue of our service personnel, military spokesman Alexander Motsianak told a news conference. Any information to the public could endanger that process. Ukraine confirmed the surrender of more than 250 fighters on Tuesday, but did not say how many more were inside. Russia said on Wednesday an additional 694 more fighters had surrendered, bringing the total number to 959, so just short of 960 fighters. Its defense ministry posted videos of what it said were Ukrainian fighters receiving hospital treatment after surrendering at Azovstal. Thank you, Baldy, Urok, Andrew, thank you. Thank you so much for that super chat. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the Red Cross and the United Nations were involved in talks, Mariupol Mayor Vadim Bochenko said, but gave no details. Mariupol is the biggest city Russia has captured so far and allows Russian President Vladimir Putin to claim a rare victory in the invasion since it began on February 24th. Here is a time-lapse I found from Military Lab YouTube channel that did a full timeline from the 24th of February to the 16th of May. It's like the most unbiased video I could find. It just shows the military units and the slow seizure of Mariupol based upon military units within the city. So here we go.
The siege of Mariupol was a military engagement between Russia and the DPR separatists against Ukraine, which began on February 24, 2022, during the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. The siege lasted for about 2 months and 3 weeks and involved heavy urban clashes between at least 14,000 Russian troops and around 3,500 Ukrainian troops.
So 14,000 troops versus 3,500 troops. Here's all the Russian units to the left, and then here's all the Ukrainian units to the right.
The siege started on 24th of February with the Russian artillery bombarding the city and injuring at least 26 people. On the morning of 25th of February, Russian forces advanced from DPR territory in the northeast towards Mariupol. They encountered Ukrainian forces near the village of Pavlopol, with Ukrainian forces pushing back the Russian advance. On the following days, Russian DPR forces started to advance from the east. On 28th of February, the city's outskirts began to get surrounded by Russian troops. The city was fully surrounded on 2nd of March, after which the siege intensified. On 3rd of March, Russian forces captured Sartana and 2 other nearby settlements. Russian troops attacked Staryy Krim and began advancing on the west. On 12th of March, Ukraine's military stated that Russian forces had captured the eastern outskirts of Mariupol.
So again, the red is Russian soldiers.
Around 14th of March, the Russian forces start breaking through from the west. On 16th of March, Major General Oleg Mityayev, commander of the 150th Motorized Rifle Division, was killed when Russian forces tried to storm the city. On 18th of March, DPR forces captured the Mariupol airport from the Ukrainian forces. Russians kept advancing, reaching near the city center from the west. On 19th and 20th of March, Russian and Ukrainian forces began fighting for the first time near the Azovstal steel plant on the eastern outskirts of the plant.
20th of March is when the Azovstal steel plant outskirts fighting began. 20th of March. Thank you, Christine. 99-cent super chat. Thank you.
On 23rd of March, Russian troops established full control over the city center after days of heavy clashes.
Thank you, Crystal, for the 50 stars.
On the following days, heavy clashes continued, with Russians slowly gaining ground and dividing the Ukrainian resistance in two, and later three isolated pockets. On the following days, heavy clashes continued near the city center while Russians were slowly trying to cut off connections between Ukrainian resistance pockets. On 4th of April, the Ukrainian 503rd Naval Infantry Battalion surrendered, and due to the surrender, the lines between the Ukrainian 36th Separate Marine Brigade in Kalmiaskaya district and the Azov Regiment on Azovstal were broken. On 8th of
Leah
April,
and Jan Marie,
Russian
thank you.
forces seized the southern part of Mariupol's port. On 10th of April, Russian forces captured the fishing port, separating Ukrainian troops in the port from those in the Azovstal steel plant into two pockets.
That was a huge event when that was a huge event on the 10th when they got that fishing port.
During the night between 11 and 12 April, the 36th Separate Marine Brigade made an attempt to break out of the Russian encirclement at the Ilich steel plant to the north. The attempt was unsuccessful and resulted in heavy casualties and many soldiers surrendering after being spotted by Russians. The around 1,000 remaining troops managed to avoid a total encirclement and moved south to join the resistance at Azovstal plant. However, this disaster pretty much ceased the resistance on the northern pocket as Russians began to clear the area out of the few remaining soldiers.
Thank you, Nora. $1 super chat. Thank you so much, Nora. Thank you to all the viewers' support
During
tonight.
17
It's
and
huge.
18th of March, the Ukrainian resistance at Primorskaya district ended. The remaining troops that were holding positions near the port were forced to surrender due to low supplies. A few hundred soldiers were reportedly rescued and moved to Azovstal. Now Russians turned their attention and full power towards the last remaining pocket of the Ukrainian resistance, the Azovstal plant.
So for about a month straight, nearly a month straight, they were fighting at just the Azovstal plant alone.
On 21st of April, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered
Hey, what up, Mehmet? How you doing, buddy? Mehmet in the chat. Everybody on YouTube, say what's up to Mehmet. He lives in Kyiv, Ukraine. Mehmet, we were watching his feeds when he had his video feed in his apartment, and we were watching was it the bus station in Freedom Square? Shout out to Mehmet, thank you.
Russian troops not to storm the Azovstal steel plant.
We do miss your
blockaded
feeds.
instead until the Ukrainian forces there ran out of supplies. The following days, Russian forces kept the plant at siege while bombarding it with artillery and fighter jets. On 28th of April, Russian DPR and Chechen forces stormed and captured the cement factory north of Azovstal. The following days were characterized by civilian evacuations, heavy and continuous bombings and skirmishes inside Azovstal area. On 16th of May, the Ukrainian General Staff announced that the Mariupol garrison had fulfilled its combat mission and that evacuations from the Azovstal steel factory had begun.
So, and then 265 service members, 53 of them seriously injured. Russia has assumed nearly 960 soldiers have been taken from the plant, or have been evacuated from the Azovstal steel plant. So that was the full breakdown of the timeline of the siege and fall of the city of Mariupol within Ukraine. Someone had asked, what happens if they completely shut off Ukraine from the sea? Lots of lots of things, including the flow and transport of grain and corn. Just to get, I mean, Russia would have full control over Ukraine's production. They want this entire southern portion of Ukraine to complete this land bridge, but they're having issues even getting into Mykolaiv here. The Mykolaiv would be the next city between Kherson and Mykolaiv, and the Russians have tried to take this city multiple times and have just failed. And this last time they lost territory. More territories were liberated after they had attempted it. I think it was two and a half weeks ago now at this point. The Ukrainians were able to capture the city of Oleksandrivka, and I shouldn't say capture, they liberated the city of Oleksandrivka back into Ukrainian territory. So it's not looking promising for Russian forces to take Mykolaiv, and then Mykolaiv they'd have to get Odessa next. And that they're not able to do that. That's why we're seeing continuous rocket barrages in the cities because their soldiers are not able to advance into those cities and take them. They don't have the manpower. They just don't have the resources to do that right now. Now, since we got the full update on Mariupol, let's get to the Donbas, north of Donetsk. Back here, so a destroyed school in Advidka. I got a picture posted from 17 hours ago. Again, we're working our way around the map of Ukraine, counterclockwise. I do have a report from Donbas. Donbas fighting shifts to Severodonetsk. Key Ukrainian supply road is under Kremlin fire. This is right from the Kyiv Post. From is it Ilya? No, this is from Stefan Korshak. The focus of fighting in Ukraine's eastern Donbas have shifted to the outlying villages around the town Severodonetsk, placing a key Ukrainian supply line under almost constant Russian fire, a government official said on Wednesday, May 18th. So let's look at Severodonetsk. There it is. It would be to the north, right next to Lysychansk. Severodonetsk. I'll pull it up on maps so it's a little clearer image. You guys have an idea. Here it comes on the Google Maps. This is the full Donbas update. This is where the majority of the ground fighting is taking place at this point. Here's Severodonetsk right here. Center of the screen. Serhiy Hadai, head of the Luhansk Regional Defense Command, said the recent and bloody failures of the Russian forces to cross the nearby Seversky Donetsk River and envelope the Ukraine armed forces have forced the Kremlin to change its tactics to frontal attacks on outlying districts of the town Severodonetsk. UAF defenses in the vicinity are under pressure but are holding. So that goes back to if you guys remember the video we watched a couple days ago, I'm sure most of you have seen it, of the Russian convoy that got destroyed trying to cross the river. And there's just vehicles scattered on each side. There's tanks inside of the river. There was memes made that there's snorkels now, all that. But that was the convoy that got destroyed trying to cross the river. Russian Federation High Command has concentrated thousands of vehicles and dozens of helicopters to back the assaults currently targeting the villages Volodivka and Novorodruzhsk. Mess that up. Hadai said Russian Federation artillery has placed the Severodonetsk-Bakhmut road, the main supply line for Ukraine forces in the vicinity, are almost under constant bombardment. The Severodonetsk-Bakhmut road. Let me see if I can pinpoint this on our map. Find the supply line. Severodonetsk Bakhmut Road. The main supply line route for UAF forces in the vicinity. I do have another map here too. Oh, it's not giving me a clear supply line route. According to a Russian Federation-controlled news platform in Ryadovka, the secondary attack was in progress from the Russian Federation-held town of Popasna toward the villages of Kamyashinaka and New York and the town of Advidka. That's the school that we saw destroyed in the picture. Bombardments reportedly hit Ukrainian positions in the nearby town of Zolote and the village of Hirsk. Let's go look up that village. Zolote. In Luhansk. So look at it'll be the red mark on the map. Right in between Luhansk and Donetsk. All this fighting here along this line has been going for 8 years, since 2014. All the fighting along this line here. The only updates to that line since the invasion have been the Wagner Russian private military group that captured Popasna a week and a half ago. And that Russian forces didn't capture that city. It was the private military group. Past Kremlin statements have named full control of Ukraine's Donetsk and Luhansk regions as a war aim, where the president attacks near Severodonetsk and Popasna to succeed. Russian Federation forces would take over the last 10% of Luhansk region, still under Ukraine control. Hadai said a major Ukraine offensive to recover lost territory is definitely coming, but that it would likely be launched no earlier than the end of June. Interesting. So we could see a larger counteroffensive near the end of June in the Donbas region. Right now, it's been pretty focused on Kharkiv from the Ukrainian side. The counteroffensives have been focused in Kharkiv. Look at, we're going to get there. They captured another one, or liberated another one. We'll get there. Russian Federation on Wednesday also appeared to be nearing its goal of total control of the strategically important Azov Sea port of Mariupol, which both Ukrainian and independent Russian Federation state-controlled news agencies reporting hundreds of defenders of the Azovstal steel plant had surrendered peacefully. Reported numbers of Ukrainian fighters now in Russian Federation custody range from 250 to 694. According to Ukrainian news reports, hundreds of defenders remained inside the plant. Unit commanders and Ukraine's Army General Staff on May 17th issued orders to troops to lay down their arms and save lives, but it was not clear on Wednesday whether that instruction would be followed by all defenders. Russian Federation propaganda platforms have claimed for months, without providing proof, that one of the units inside the plant, the Azov National Guard Regiment, is a Nazi extremist organization responsible for multiple war crimes whose members should be exterminated. Ukrainian independent media have repeatedly rubbished Russian Federation fake news reports about Azov, but some members of the unit have sworn to fight to the death rather than become Russian Federation prisoners. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in a 17 May statement said that negotiations were in progress between Kyiv and Moscow to evacuate the plant completely and possibly by prisoner exchange, return the Azovstal defenders to the Ukrainian side. Elsewhere along the fighting line, the AGS reported the flare-up of fighting at the border checkpoint in the Sumy region, a sector that had been quiet since the early April in the Kharkiv sector, site of an ongoing generally successful UAF offensive to clear the Russian Federation forces. Russian Federation units used long-range artillery to hit the villages in Trishkuny, Ruski Chishki, Chirasky Chishki, and Potyomik on the outskirts of the badly hit city of Kharkiv. So there's some updates to the fighting shifts in Severodonetsk. Along that, there's a significant supply line, the Severodonetsk-Bakhmut road. It's constantly getting shelled by Russian forces. Here's an update report from Sky News. Evidence of new attacks in the Donbas region. Again, credit to Sky News for this report.
In the crosshairs of Russia's territorial ambitions, the heart of the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine. It's here that the Russians are now focusing, and where there's evidence of fresh attacks all along our route. As we travel in, we see reinforcements arriving all the time as the Ukrainians send extra troops and military hardware to fight the Russians off. This is one of the latest hits. In the past 24 hours, the Russians have hit a volley of strikes in towns like Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine, and just 30 kilometers down that road is newly captured Russian territory as they're trying to claim more and more land in the Donbas region.
That's the Bakhmut road that we just went over, that supply line, that supply route.
But the Russian bombs are finding new targets every day. The towns around here are being hit day and night. The targets in the center of heavily built-up residential areas. This was a factory providing heating for around 10,000 people in the district. There are a number killed in this attack, amongst them a soldier, and others who had a narrow escape. This soldier was in the middle of sending an audio note to his friend when the explosion happened. Oh my gosh. You are lucky. You are very lucky. It was a few hundred meters away, he tells us. Minutes afterwards, he's filming himself with the smoke behind him to the same friend. What do you think the Russians are trying to do with these attacks? They're targeting civilians, he says. They're just trying to make civilians panic. The Ukrainian successes in fighting off the Russians from Kyiv and Kharkiv has meant the invaders have upped the tempo with increased savagery to try to wrestle control of Donbas. They haven't counted on the people here. They may capture territory, but they can't make us Ukrainians their slaves, Anatoly tells us. We'll never sing to the Russian tune. It's impossible, just impossible. The residents clear up their shattered homes with a battle-hardened weariness now. They've endured nearly 3 months of this trauma and turmoil. Why should I be afraid, she says. I just don't want the things landing in my house, and I don't want them to hit people. But people are dying, and families are suffering terribly. Every person who dies at home in their town or on the battlefield in Donbas, like Yuri, leaves behind broken-hearted relatives. Yuri was 32 years old. Among the mourners is his 13-year-old daughter, Darina, and his mother, Alina. Another family utterly devastated by this war. So many of his friends turned out for his send-off. And saying goodbye never gets any easier. I want to hug you just one more time, she's crying. Mothers aren't meant to bury their children. Fellow soldiers try to give him the respect they feel a fallen comrade deserves. They know there's a chance they'll face the same fate, but they'll leave here to continue defending Donbas anyway. And to those who loved him and will miss him, Yuri dies a hero. Is it worth it? No, Alina says. No, it's not worth his death, because my child is gone. Just suddenly my child's gone, and I'm so sad. But he died a hero, she goes on, and I'm proud of him for that. Russia may have scaled down its military ambitions. The tactics and focus may have altered, but for those still being killed and terrorized, it doesn't feel much different. Alex Crawford, Sky News in the Donbas region, Ukraine.
All right, that's the latest report from the Donbas region. Just to summarize some of the fighting that's going on there. Again, this is to the eastern region of Ukraine. So we had the school. We're going to continue on. 10 civilians were killed as a result of a Russian shelling in the Donetsk region today. 7 killed in Lyman, 3 in Bakhmut, including 1 child, and 7 more people wounded. So again, that supply line, you see, there's Bakhmut, Severodonetsk to Bakhmut. Okay, here it is. T1302. That's the line. That's the road right to Severodonetsk. I'm following it. So if I'm going to zoom in here, T1302 takes you right from Bakhmut to Severodonetsk. Keep following it. Keep following it. Bang, right there. I'm wondering if that's the supply line, T1302 on our map. As at Bakhmut direction, Russian troops assaulting Kharkivka, General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So again, this is all I have. This is all in the Donbas. Ten civilians were killed as a result of a Russian shelling in Donetsk region today. 7 killed in Lyman, 3 in Bakhmut, including 1 child. That's the same update from the other one. That's Slovianet's direction. Heavy clashes near Dovinki, General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. All right, we're going to work our way up to the northern Donbas region outside of Kharkiv. Let's go southeastern Kharkiv. Russian army shelled Mariupol this morning. Over 30 houses, cars, and power lines have been damaged. That was an update from a day ago. Inside of Russian territory, we have a Russian Su-34 shot down on Kupiansk direction. That was 5 hours ago. And we have Russian troops shelled Kharkiv overnight. 4 cars and a house were damaged. That was from 13 hours ago in Kharkiv. Let's actually get some drone footage of what the extent of the damage in Kharkiv looks like. So here's some drone footage coming in from the city of Kharkiv, northern Donbas city. No audio here, so just visual. There's the that's the bazaar that they have of all the shops. A giant just shopping complex that they have in Kharkiv. That was hit in the second month of the war. I think that was hit in March. Just a big bazaar of a lot of shops. All right, that is the update from Kharkiv in the video. We're going to work our way even further to the northeast on along the border. 5 hours ago, Russian troops shelled Yanzaluvkia and Progress villages of Chernihiv and Sumy regions from 6 hours ago. Geolocated right along the border. Russian troops shelled Sumy region 5 times today. That was 5 hours ago. 2 times with mortars, grenade launchers, howitzers, and multiple launch rocket systems. That's to the northeast, north of Sumy. A shelling in Tonivko and Oleksivka of the Gulushovo district in the Kursk region. That's from Ukraine shelling. Ukraine shellings within Russian territory. Shelling again in Oleksivka of the Kursk region. It's on the Russian side. We're going to work our way around the map now to Kyiv, capital city, in which the United States has returned to the embassy. Here's a video of the flag being raised. United States returns to Kyiv. U.S. reopens Kyiv embassy after 3-month closure. The U.S. embassy in Kyiv reopened on Wednesday after a 3-month closure due to Russia's February 24th invasion of Ukraine. We are officially reopening operations, spokesperson Daniel Legenkamp told Reuters shortly before the U.S. flag was raised above the embassy. He said a small number of diplomats would return initially to staff the mission. Consular operations will not resume immediately, and no travel advisory from the State Department remains in place across from Ukraine. The U.S. Embassy closed on February 14th, 10 days before Russia launched a full-scale invasion. Embassy staff spent the first 2 months of the war in Poland, but changed affairs. Kristina Kyivin returned to the country on May 2nd, visiting the western city of Lviv. Many Western countries, including France, Germany, and Britain, have reopened their embassies in Kyiv over the past month, after Russian troops pulled back from Ukraine's north to focus an offensive to the east of the country. So the United States is back in the capital city. Let's go to another video we have here of the Russian soldier pleading guilty. Russian soldier pleading guilty to Ukraine's first war crimes trial.
А чи ви визнаєте себе винуватим чи даного кримінального правопорушення? Повністю?
Повністю.
Не відмовляєтесь від дачі показань?
A Russian sergeant pleaded guilty at Ukraine's first war crimes trial to fatally shooting an unarmed civilian. Twenty-one-year-old Sergeant Vadim Shishmarin is facing life in prison for shooting a 62-year-old Ukrainian man in the head. He says he was ordered to shoot the man. Ukrainian Prosecutor General Ernia Venedikova said her office was readying war crimes cases against 41 Russian soldiers. Russian soldier pleads guilty at Ukraine war crimes trial from Associated Press. A 21-year-old Russian soldier is facing the first war crimes trial since Moscow invaded Ukraine, pleaded guilty Wednesday to killing an unarmed civilian. Sergeant Vadim Shishmarin could get life in prison for allegedly shooting a 62-year-old Ukrainian man in the head through an open car window in the northeastern Sumy region on February 28th, 4 days into the invasion. Shishmarin, a captured member of the Russian tank unit, was prosecuted under a section of the Ukrainian Criminal Code that addresses the laws and customs of war. The law of war. We have to learn that too. The accused Shishmarin fully admitted the guilt of the crime in accordance with all circumstances established during the pretrial investigation and announced by the prosecution during the trial today. Thank you, Kathy, being a member for 2 months. Shishmarin was instructed to shoot a civilian by a person who wasn't his direct commander or a person whose instructions he obliged to follow. So it's not correct to say there was some sort of order. Ukrainian Prosecutor General Ernia Venedikova previously said her office was readying war crimes against 41 Russian soldiers for offenses that including bombing civilian infrastructure, killing civilians, rape, and looting. It was not immediately clear how many of the suspects are in Ukrainian hands and how many would be tried in absentia. Prosecutors plan to continue presenting evidence against Shishmarin following his guilty plea. As the inaugural war crimes case in Ukraine, Shishmarin's prosecution was being watched closely. Investigators have been collecting evidence of possible war crimes to bring the International Criminal Court in The Hague. That criminal court trial, I don't have faith in that one. Sorry, after watching them needing to take a coffee break when like the invasion was in like the no shit situation, like the capital city of Kyiv could have been taken within that week and they wanted a coffee break, I lost some faith. Viktor Ovalazinkov, Shishmarin's attorney, said Wednesday that despite the guilty plea, he believed the soldier's actions were, quote, wrongfully qualified. He read the indictment and agreed that with what was laid out there, Oksinov said, but the man who doesn't understand legal nuances or rules on qualification of the articles, he can say, yes, that's how it was. I have certain objections to who was laid out there. Ovanaksnikov said that he had spoken to the defendant's mother, who asked about the soldier's condition in the court case. I gave her all necessary explanations and that was it. Venedikova's office said it was looking into more than 10,700 potential war crimes involving more than 600 subjects, including Russian soldiers and government officials, with help from foreign experts, prosecutors, and investigating allegations that Russian troops violated Ukrainian and international law by killing, torturing, and abusing possibly thousands of Ukrainian civilians. Shishmarin's trial opened Friday when he made brief court appearance while lawyers and judges discussed procedural matters. After his plea on Wednesday, the proceedings were continued until Thursday. Then the trial is expected to resume. A large courtroom accommodate more journalists, because that was I don't see that part on here, but I read earlier in a separate article that a major reason why the trial had to be pushed to tomorrow was because there was too much media. The media was crowding the courtroom, so they had to push the trial back to the next day. So there will be more room to accommodate the journalists. Thank you. $10 from Diane. $10 from Diane, Super Chat. Ukrainian authorities posted a few details on social media last week from their investigation in his case. Shishmarin was among a group of Russian troops that fled Ukrainian forces on February 28th, according to Venetkova's Facebook account. The Russians allegedly fired at a private car and seized the vehicle, then drove to Chupakivivka, a village 200 miles east of Kyiv. On the same way, the prosecutor general alleged the Russian soldiers saw a man walking on the sidewalk and talking on his phone. Shishmarin was ordered to kill the man so he wouldn't be able to report them to Ukrainian military authorities. Venedikova did not identify who gave the order. Shishmarin fired his Kalashnikov rifle through an open window and hit the victim in the head, Venedikova wrote. The man died on the spot just a few dozen meters from his house, she said. Ukraine's SBU security service posted a short video on May 4th of Shishmarin speaking in front of the camera and briefly describing how he shot the man. The SBU described the video as one of the first confessions of the enemy invaders. I was ordered to shoot, quote, Shishmarin said. Quote, I shot one round at him, he falls, and we kept on going. Russia is believing to be preparing war crime trials for the Ukrainian soldiers themselves. Russia has announced that they're going to be doing war crime trials for the Azov soldiers from the steel plant. Here's some photos from today. So we will have further updates on this tomorrow. Shishmarin. Before we get into the NATO update, here's a video sent to our Discord server. Thank you to everybody that does participate in our Discord and sends videos. This is inhumane. I want to make sure this is good to go. I think this is a story from Ukrainians that were detained from Russian soldiers. All right, we're good to go on this. Inhumane detention. During Russia's occupation of parts of Ukraine's Kyiv and Chernihiv regions, its forces committed horrific abuses against civilians. Human Rights Watch documented numerous abuses in 17 villages and towns. Russian forces held over 350 villagers in a school basement for 28 days. You can see the MRE underneath. Many were children or elderly. The conditions were cramped, suffocating, and unsanitary. Many people fell ill. Captives drew a calendar to track the days. They also kept a list of those who died, 10 in all elderly. And a list of 7 people who were shot or disappeared. Or who were disappeared.
In this small boiler room, there were 20 people held at some point by Russian soldiers as they rounded up civilians. I just interviewed a man, 66-year-old, and he was detained in this building in a small pit. When he was released, he found 2 of them dead, their heads smashed in the cemetery.
On March 21, Russian soldiers blindfolded and handcuffed Ihor Zhirianov and took him to a window manufacturing plant in Dimer. People lay on. I'll read that out loud. People lay on the floor on rags, a mattress. I know that they tortured people with an electric shocker. They were being beaten really bad, really hard. The law of war prohibits summary executions, torture, enforced disappearances, and inhumane treatment. Believe it or not, in war there is laws. There is a law. You can't just do it. You can't just do whatever in a war. Both Russia and Ukraine have obligation to investigate these alleged war crimes and bring those responsible to justice. So that's the Human Rights Watch. Now let's shift gears over to NATO. The NATO update on Sweden and Finland joining. Turkey blocks early vote on Sweden and Finland joining NATO. First, let's get the video here of, I think it's Finnish president handing over the paperwork. Sweden and Finland formally submitted their applications to join NATO. There's Finland. There's Sweden.
And I warmly welcome the requests by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. You are our closest partners, and your membership in NATO would increase our shared security. The applications you have made today are an historic step. Allies will now consider the next steps on their path to NATO. The security interests of all allies have to be taken into account, and we are determined to work through all issues and reach rapid conclusions.
All right, let's get the article there. Sweden and Finland have formally submitted their applications to join NATO, but Turkey blocked an early move to fast-track the Nordic countries' requests, demanding they extradite terrorists and the alliance respect its concerns. The NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg accepted the two historically non-aligned Nordic countries' membership requests, each in a white folder embossed with their national flag, at the U.S.-led Defensive Alliance's HQ in Brussels on Wednesday. I warmly welcome the requests by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. You are our closest partners, Stoltenberg told the two countries' ambassadors, hailing the occasion as a, quote, historic step and a good day at a critical time for our safety. However, multiple reports cited diplomatic sources saying Turkey later blocked a vote by NATO ambassadors and opening talks immediately, suggesting the first stage of extension process may take longer than the 2 weeks the alliance had planned. The enlargement of NATO must be approved by all 30 members and then ratified by their parliaments, which could take up to a year. The alliance has said it wants to move as fast as possible given the potential Russian threat to Finland and Sweden. The two countries' applications represent a radical redrawing of Europe's security landscape in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and if successful, it would represent the most significant expansion of NATO in decades, doubling the alliance's border with Russia. Stoltenberg said NATO would take into account the security interests of all members and was determined to work through the issues and reach a rapid conclusion. All allies agreed on the importance of the enlargement, he said, adding, "We all agree we must stand together and that this is a historic moment we must seize." In Ankara, however, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told MPs from his AK party that the allegiance must respect Turkey's reservations. NATO expansion is only meaningful for us in the proportion to respect that will be shown to our sensitivities, he said. Turkey accuses Sweden and Finland of harboring members of Kurdish militant groups it considers terrorist organizations, and also objects to their decisions in 2019 to ban arms exports to Ankara over Turkey's military operations in Syria. Here's a video.
Bu zatın Bosna Hersek direnişinin 30 tane teröristi istedik. Vermeyiz dediler. Siz teröristleri bize vermeyeceksiniz. Ama bizden kalkıp NATO üyeliğini isteyeceksiniz. NATO bir güvenlik oluşumudur, bir güvenlik teşkilatıdır. Dolayısıyla bu güvenlik teşkilatını güvenlikten yoksun hale getirmeye biz evet diyemeyiz.
Straight from President Erdogan from Turkey himself. Erdogan accused Stockholm in particular of providing safe haven to members of outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK and to followers of the Fethullah Gulen, who Ankara accuses of orchestrating a 2016 coup attempt. We asked them to extradite 30 terrorists, but they refused to do so, he said. So why won't you give us back terrorists? But you ask, excuse me, so you won't give us back terrorists, but you ask us for NATO membership. NATO is an entity for security, an organization for security. Therefore, we cannot say yes to the security organization being deprived of security. A lot of security words. Erdogan said NATO had never supported Turkey in its fight against the PKK and other Kurdish militant groups and accused allies of supporting terrorists, citing allied armed deliveries of the People's Defense Units and a Kurdish militia fighting in Syria. Other Turkish officials, including Erdogan's spokesperson, have been less outspoken, saying Turkey had not shut the door to Sweden and Finland joining NATO, but wants negotiations and a pledge to clamp down on what it sees as terrorist activities. So it's not completely out the window. It's not a guarantee that Turkey's going to veto that. It's if Sweden and Finland, there's going to have to be a negotiation there. Interesting. We're going to have to see how that plays out. NATO and the U.S. and other allies, as well as Zelensky and Stockholm, have all said they are optimistic they can overcome Turkey's objections. I'm wondering if that means I wonder what that means. That's going to have to be, we have to wait and find out. Analysts believe Erdogan, who faces elections next year, is largely seeking concessions to score domestic political points and ultimately unlikely to veto the two Nordic applications. Interesting. Analysts believe. In the hope that speedy ratification by the U.S. would help advance the process, the Swedish defense minister has already headed to Washington. The Turkish foreign minister, Melvit Cavusoglu, met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in New York on Wednesday, but the two diplomats did not address the question of NATO enlargement in their joint statement, which reaffirmed their cooperation as NATO partners and allies and committed them to, quote, working closely together to face current geopolitical challenges. Here's another article for Reuters, how Turkey spoiled NATO's historic moment with Finland and Sweden. When Finland and Sweden signaled they were thinking of making a historic decision to joining NATO, the alliance expected a tough response from Moscow, not from one of its own. Yet a gathering of NATO foreign ministers with Finnish and Sweden counterparts on Saturday to celebrate the biggest shift in European security in decades, Turkey's participant darkened the mood. Turkish Foreign Minister Melvit Cavusoglu was in crisis mode, as NATO diplomat told Reuters of the evening meeting in Berlin. A day earlier, Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan had shocked fellow NATO members by saying he could not support membership for either Finland or Sweden. Cavusoglu not only set conditions for Turkey accepting the membership bids, but raised his voice at Sweden's Ann Linde in what three NATO diplomats said was an embarrassing break in protocol. For us it was a historic moment, yet Cavusoglu said he was irritated at Linde's feminist policy bringing so much drama. Another NATO diplomat said, describing a very tense atmosphere in the German Foreign Ministry in Berlin, in which many allies opted for silence to calm the situation. We were trying to understand what our Turkish colleague wanted, really wanted, said the diplomat, who, like others, spoke on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the issue. It was, quote, embarrassing. Erdogan, got it. Ankara's main demands for the Nordic countries are to halt support for the Kurdish militant groups present in their territory and to lift their bans on some sales arms to Turkey. A Turkish diplomatic source said Cavusoglu had outlined Turkey's stance respectfully, rejecting what he said was an allegation from Linde that the opposition was due to Sweden's feminist foreign policy. Her comments are not helping Sweden's NATO bid, while the statements coming from Finland are carefully crafted. Sweden's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to the request for comment after business hours. Spurred on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, both countries applied to join NATO on Wednesday. Russia, which says the threat posed by NATO expansion was a major reason it sent troops into Ukraine, has played it cool. While Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybakov said Finland and Sweden joining was a, quote, grave mistake with, quote, far-reaching consequences, President Vladimir Putin said on May 16th their bids to join NATO pose no direct threat to Russia. Haven't had an update on that since. All right. That concludes the newsy updates, the news-related updates. Now we're going to be shifting gears into the combat clips of the day, the top combat clips from the war. If you're a veteran in our chat, we have an amazing veteran community here on Mercado Media. Comment your branch of service, comment your years of service, your MOS. Thank you so much to our amazing veteran community, and that doesn't matter if you're in the U.S. Armed Forces or if you were in armed forces in other countries or your country, or if you have family, etc. Thank you for all of your service. And again, during this section, extra trigger warnings, extra visuals of violence, all that stuff during this time. All right, we're getting into the combat clips of the night. We're starting here with the Russian forces roll out anti-aircraft and missile systems. Thank you for the $25 super chat from B. Baldy. You rocked again, Andrew. Thank you. Eric with the Marine Corps. 89 to 93. Thank you. This is from the Russian Ministry of Defense. '18 Alpha, U.S. Navy. Your son's a Navy vet. United States Air Force. 75 to 2,000. So you're looking at a Russian soldier right here. Russian piece of equipment. Also take this time and share the stream, spam those reactions on Facebook, like the video on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Anti-aircraft missile systems. All right. Hopefully we get to that. Hopefully we get to that piece of equipment when we get to Rob's combat footage. Thank you for sending that to the Discord server. I want to know what that piece of equipment is. Here's another video sent to our server. Pulling this up. This was a train in Melitopol. Pulling this up now. Video isn't available anymore. What? Let me pull this up quick. It's got to be available. There we go.
Ukrainian guerrilla fighters blow up Russian armored train in Melitopol. Ukrainian guerrilla fighters stopped a Russian armored train in Melitopol by exploding a bomb on the railway track. That's according to the RIA Melitopol news site, Ukrinform reports.
So let's go look at where that is. It's in Melitopol. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. But Melitopol. Okay, hold on. Reset my eyes. Am I not able to find it right away? Oh my goodness. Here it is. I can never find it right away on the war map. Here's Melitopol, to the northeast of Crimea. So if you want to look at the center of your screen, Melitopol.
An explosive device planted on the railway track detonated under a railcar with personnel. As a result, the railroad track and equipment were damaged, the report said. Later, it was reported that the train consisted of 10 cars, and a bomb exploded under a car with personnel. According to reports, 2 railway tracks were damaged, and the armored train was stopped. The locomotive with 10 fuel tanks, which was following the armored train, was also stopped. According to Melitopol Mayor Ivan Fedorov, Ukrainian guerrilla fighters killed more than 100 occupiers and carried out more than 20 successful resistance operations in the temporarily occupied city.
Dang. So that they've been using that. Russia's been using this train.
As a result, the
I remember a report early on in the war too of this train being used. So that's huge.
stopped a
Ukrainian guerrilla fighters blew up the Russian armored train. We looked into that early on. Wow. Well, here we go with Rob Lee's Ukraine war coverage and his war clips that he compiles in a nice timeline. Again, these clips can be found all around the internet, but Rob Lee does put them into a nice timeline that we can go through here at night. Video from Ukraine's 25th Airborne Brigade of artillery strikes on Russian troops in a trench and a Russian BMP. Also possible use of time fuses. Time fuses. You can see the trenches from the UAV footage from the drone. You can see the troops outside. Taking cover in the trenches. Dang. Ukraine's 25th Airborne Brigade of artillery strikes on Russian troops. Made Z shapes out of the trenches. See a building get hit. They said that was a BMP in the footage in the back. Yep. A BMP 1AM Basturmanian. So that's Russian troops getting hit by Ukrainian artillery. Here's another one. Possible use of VT proximity fuse artillery round. I'm not sure what that is. Let's look up that. A VT proximity fuse artillery round. What is that? See what that's about. High explosive, a proximity fuse, the third most crucial development of World War II.
One of the great innovations of World War II was the proximity or variable time fuse. This secret technology was developed by British and American researchers to solve the problem of detonating artillery shell close to a target. The problem was mechanical timing fuses would explode inaccurately due to the difficulty in estimating the range of fast-moving targets like a plane. They solved this problem by designing a tiny Doppler radar.
Wow.
Equipped with a small antenna and oscillator, as the shell approached the target, a wave would be emitted from the shell. If the target was within range, the reflected signal's amplitude would increase. The Doppler shift in the signal was amplified, and once the signal passed a certain threshold, it would trigger an electrical detonator. The challenge was to make the fuse survive the forces of spinning and moving at extremely high velocities. Over 20 million fuses were deployed during the war, and is credited for creating effective anti-aircraft fire in the Pacific Theater, neutralizing German V-1 attacks over England, and changed land warfare in the use of devastating airbursts.
Yeah. That's the flak guns that are flak that's used to stop incoming. Okay, so that's what was that high explosive at the end that they explained.
One of the great innovations
was what was used on the trench. Land warfare, devastating airbursts. That's what this is, a big airburst shot. Those are made in World War II. World War II weapon. Or they've been using it. Video of Russian KUB BLA loitering munitions. Narrowly missing Ukrainian M777 howitzers could have wounded the crew. Very fast video. You can see where it lands, and the troops are they're south of that or underneath it. There's one. There's another one over here. There's one by the truck. Narrowly missed those troops. We saw this video yesterday, but here it is again if you missed it. Video of a captured Russian T-72B3 tank. T-72, fully functioning tank, going to be repurposed into Ukraine's military. Video likely showing a Russian TOS-1 Alpha thermobaric MLRS strike, multiple launch rocket system strike. Check into the stream, y'all, if you have not done so. Comment what city, what state, where in the world you're watching from. Again, I'm your host, Andrew Mercado, of all this war coverage here on Mercado Media. Video of Azov POWs from Mariupol being moved by Russian buses with a Mi-35 helicopter escort. Oh my goodness, Gene with a big $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Gene. Rhode Island, USA, Phoenix, Kenosha, Michigan, Pentwater, Michigan. Chicago, Texas. Sacramento. Hamilton, Florida. Again, these are the Azov troops from the Azovstal steel plant being evacuated by Russian forces. Winnipeg tuned in, upstate New York. Baltimore, Maryland, Wisconsin. Hello from Albany, Oregon. Texas tuned in. Good to have you. Good to have you here on Mercado Media. Rozgovirda troops are apparently using captured Ukrainian artillery, a 2S3 in this case, in the war. With a big cope cage on it. Oh my goodness. They repurposed it with a large cope cage with some camo netting. Cope cage with camo netting. Look at that, dude. Solid. Florida, welcome. Oh, wow, another one. Oh, a better view of it. Dang. Look at that. Look at that coke cage right there. I tell you what. How much protection do you think that's getting? What level of protection? How much? On a scale of 1 to 10, do you think it's stopping anything? Level of 1 to 10. How many? Or 0 to 10? That stops nothing. Almost invisible. There we go. I wanted to wait for some answers to come through. Is that a shopping cart? It could be. Could be. It will stop a bird. It'll keep the crows out. It's a good bird stopper. The birds aren't gonna fly into the tank. It'll stop a rock. And not even then. I think a rock could get through. I don't know. I think a rock could make it through that. It may stop. It's not even gonna. That thing won't even stop the wind. Damn. Man, I'd be under there for some shade. What you mean? They built that thing for shade, huh? Just to get out of the sun. Because that's not stopping anything. Got a nice, it's like a hat. It's like a tank hat. Hey, this is one of those. They play too much, too many games with microtransactions. They put a hat on their tank. These cosmetics are getting out of hand.
Но он кладет вручную сюда.
Look at it. There it is. Look at that cage, yo. They took that thing. That's a pterodactyl cage. They had a whole pterodactyl cage on that. Mosquito netting. I'm dead. Big cope cage right there. All the cope. Alright. Continuing on here. Video of Russian MST-AS and 2S3 Okstia howitzers firing on targets in Ukraine with the Orlan 10 UAV. Russians howitzers firing on Ukrainian targets. Oops. Oh, there we go.
Первая цель 3 минуты 10 секунд.
Третьему 51-08.
So these are their howitzers, Russian howitzers. The way the spent casing just falls out. I don't know. There's something about it. Just looks like a piece of shit. Those are those howitzers. They have direct fire modes as well, so they have been. Those things can be used as tanks, or how a tank would be used. So they can shoot these directly at targets and have been. We saw these pieces of artillery used in Mariupol, and they shot them directly at buildings. MSTAS and Akitsa howitzers. It looked like they had lighting in one of the tanks. Quick, I just want to roll back and see that. I don't know if they had. They got blue light in there. What's up with this? That's gotta be some after. They have to have a light in there. Ain't no way. They have blue lighting on these things in there. And some underglow in there. I don't know. There's just something about that just looks funny. Boop. It just looks funny. So that's the Russian MSTAS and 2S3 Akitsa howitzers firing on targets in Ukraine. Here's a longer video from the Russian Ministry of Defense that shows they tracked the movement of at least 3 Ukrainian M777 howitzers before targeting them with a Kyiv BLA loitering munition and multiple launch rocket system fire. Not clear how much damage the multiple launch rocket system fire caused. Russian Ministry of Defense video tracking movement of 3 Ukrainian howitzers before shooting them with multiple launch rocket system fire. This is our Ukrainian convoy being tracked by Russian UAV. It's a little bit longer version of this. They missed. We watched this in a previous clip. You see the Ukrainians trying to get their position set up into the wood line. Definitely a more effective location to put your convoy, though. Russia would have put their convoy in. Hold on, this is where Russia would have put theirs. It's like right off the road, right into this group of trees right here, right off the main road. Hard to see when you're under that thick of trees. Hard to see the convoy and the vehicles. Video of Caliber cruise missiles being launched yesterday by the Black Sea Fleet. Black Sea Fleet. That would be down in this region here. If you look at the map, here's Odessa, Mykolaiv, Crimea. Black Sea Fleet's in here. Missiles being launched off the coast of Crimea into Odessa as well.
В районе железнодорожной станции Старичи Львовской области уничтожен личный состав украинских резервных формирований, а также партии иностранного вооружения и военной техники из США и европейских стран, подготовленные для отправки на Донбасс. В районе железнодорожной станции Старичи Львовской области уничтожен личный состав украинских резервных формирований, а также партии иностранного вооружения и военной техники из США и европейских стран, подготовленные для отправки на Донбасс. В районе железнодорожной станции...
All right, video Kaliber missiles being launched yesterday. Here we got old footage of Russian... Oh, here it is. Oh, I didn't even know about this. Here's that howitzer that we saw from this video, from the Orlan 10 being shot out. This being used in... Excuse me. Being used in direct fire mode at the Azovstal plant. So they were using it like a tank. They were using it in direct fire mode, not just at the plant either. They were using it within the city of Mariupol. Video of a Russian Tor air defense system in Ukraine. Tor air defense systems. Spam those reactions. Man, Facebook's totally killed the algorithm, huh? We have 68 tuned in. We're at double digits on Facebook now. I remember the days we were at like nearly 300 a stream. YouTube's still holding strong. We're at nearly 800 tuned in. I know it's a new time frame too. 2 hours earlier tonight. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturdays are 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. Moving on here. Video of servicemen from the Northern Fleet's 61st Naval Infantry Brigade jerry-rigging a UAV to carry a RGD-5 grenade.
О том, как выкурить тех немцев, как ребята опять же шутят, которые засели там в окопах, пришла почти мгновенно. Братиш, расскажи, что это за ноу-хау?
Так, ну это не ноу-хау, это уже как бы давно запатентованное. Тут смысл в чем? Система сброса присутствует. И также граната. Единственное, что мы добавили, это шприц в системе сброса.
То есть это у вас укол называется, я так понимаю, сделать укол?
Наподобие. Он сейчас кольцо вытаскивает. Не надо вот. И ударный и УЗРГМ он вот сюда вставляет.
Там
вот сейчас он примерно и покажет это.
довольно экстремальное занятие, я так понимаю. Ну вот расскажи, вот сейчас самая интригующая часть, я так понимаю.
Ну вот он кольцо вытаскивает. Одевает туда иголку.
Из-под обычного шприца, да?
Oh, that's how you...
Вот эту ниточку он сейчас на систему сброса.
I was asking yesterday how they pulled the pin before putting the grenade up in the air. And then they put... Okay.
Подцепляет.
Лекарство готово, да, для неонацистов?
Теперь он вставляет сюда шприц, вытаскивает иголку.
So that's how they're attaching, that's how they're dropping grenades off the drones. Both Ukraine and Russia is doing this. Russia has been putting, Russia put their grenades in a cup. This one just seems to be attaching the grenade directly to the UAV.
Ну
or
вот
excuse me, to
расскажи,
the
вот сейчас
drone.
самая интригующая часть, я так понимаю.
Ukraine built they had a 3D printed device to drop these grenades.
Из-под обычного шприца, да?
Вот эту ниточку он сейчас на систему сброса. Подцепляет.
Yeah, Russia was using a plastic cup to put these grenades in to have like a shell of protection around it.
Лекарство готово, да, для неонацистов.
Теперь он вставляет туда шприц.
I guess you don't need to throw grenades anymore, just drop them off of your drone. Alright, moving on to the next clip. Video of members of the 61st Naval Infantry Brigade taking cover from Grad multiple launch rocket system fire near Advika. These are Russian soldiers.
Кто там крутые морпехи, я в рот. Нормально. Это не мы. Пилот, Этерик, прием. Давай туда назад в окоп пока. Я Терек, да, по мне городы.
Еще.
Все хорошо, все нормально, сейчас будем драться.
Они по своим отхуяли. Красавцы, по своим.
Какой молодцы.
Хохлы молодцы, хорошо стреляют по своим.
So again, real quick, this clip here, 61st Naval Infantry Brigade. Here you have another clip. Oh, that's the same one. The same fleet. Naval Infantry Brigade taking cover from Ukraine multiple launch rocket system fires. This is a Russian unit. You can also see the Russian MREs.
Кто там крутые морпехи, я в рот. Нормально. Это не мы. Пилот, Этерик, прием. Давай туда назад в окоп пока. Я Терек, да, по мне городы.
Еще.
Да хорошо, все нормально, сейчас будем драться.
You can see the Z patch.
Они по своим отхуяли. Красавцы, по своим.
And you see the red marker on the thigh, and it's Russian camouflage as well.
Какой молодцы.
Хохлы молодцы, хорошо стреляют по своим.
Russia identifies with white and red on their uniforms. A DNR fighter with a CUAS gun. I don't know what that is. So here's a separatist fighter for Russia from the Donetsk Republic.
На передовой шахтера из 100-й бригады. В общем-то, позывной сам за себя говорит. Братишка, я смотрю, у тебя тут какое-то странное и очень модное вооружение в руках. Расскажи, что это
наши
What is that, dude?
противодроновое ружье. Своими руками, вот посмотрите, как выглядит. Видно, что
Is that a wonder weapon?
Да, отсюда.
This dude out here hit the box and got a wonder weapon. Hell nah. What is this, dude?
Своими руками, вот посмотрите, как выглядит. Видно, что это...
Тут разные запчасти, да, отсюда. Чуть ли не
Ну, работает хорошо. Вот мы сбиваем дронов вражеских, вот посмотрите.
Ну, уводите, я так понимаю, да?
That's Ukraine. That's Ukrainian symbol.
Направляем, если получается, забираем себе. Если не получается, садим в поле. Если мины, конечно же, мы туда не лезем. Так что лежат они там, по возможности собираем.
Вот, то есть служит уже на благо родной 100-й бригаде, да, несмотря на украинское происхождение, будем говорить.
Да, конечно, работает очень хорошо.
Ну, это вообще полностью вы сами собрали, да?
Ну да.
Ничего себе. Ну, Это военная тайна, из чего это дроновое ружье собрано, но факт остается фактом. Привет, хочешь кого-то передать?
Конечно, пользуясь случаем, хочу передать привет жене, маме, ну и всем, кто меня знает.
Boy, out here got a Wunderwaffe. What the hell is that? It's a clearly like a drone jammer, or I can take drones out. It's like a homemade one. Countering unmanned aircraft systems. Oh shit, straight from Homeland Security.
As commercial drone technology evolves, the unmanned aircraft system, or UAS, threat landscape advances exponentially.
There are more than 1.7 million registered unmanned aerial systems in the United States, and the market is ever expanding.
The threat is considered high because UAS platforms can be used for clandestine surveillance of high-value facilities or loaded with munitions and used in attacks.
Really what it comes down to is any nefarious actor can own his own air force.
The department
Electronic mitigation or actually physically going out there and interdicting the UAS operator.
DHS is addressing the UAS situation.
Okay, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I want to know like how he made that. There probably isn't even a video on that, huh? What is that? I no longer play around with radio and antennas, so I can't speak directly to the efficacy of this device. But all you folks making fun of the guy's dual drone gun should consider the implications of this dual Yagi radiation pattern. What does that mean? It's hard going to comments on here. He's so proud.
Передовой шахтера из 100-й бригады. В общем-то, позывной сам за себя говорит. Братишка, я смотрю, у тебя тут
Well,
какой-то
they stole that gun from Area 50. Yeah, Area 51. So it takes out drones. I'm not sure how the science works behind this thing. I'm assuming it's radio waves sent out or emitted. Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna share that. The C-UAS gun. So like an anti-drone gun. You can take them things out. Here we go, a 3-part video. A 3-parter. Showing a Russian T-80 BVM tank coming under fire from Ukrainian troops with anti-tank weapons near Potyomyk in the Kyiv Oblast. No audio here. Send any relevant video to our Discord server. That's a T-80 tank. Thank you, Stephanie, for the like. Part 2 here. Ukrainian soldier firing an anti-tank weapon at the T-80. That looks like a road you don't want to drive on, and it's by itself. Why are there tanks all by themselves? Oh my god! They just drifted that tank to a halt. They're really just driving those things like they stole them, huh? A solo tank, dude. Solo tanking. Oh wow. He missed. He missed on the first one. I see the soldier in the wood line. Missed completely. Here they are right here. The soldiers in the wood line are here. He hit here. Completely missed. You can see him. You can see him right here. Part 3. And here's the third part. You can see the soldier running in the bottom corner of the video. Bottom right. Oh, look, they got out of there. You see, he just got out of that area. You can see him running here. There he goes. Easy to miss, but here a Ukrainian soldier hides opposite the Russian trench. He is probably responsible for the burning tank. Fortunately, the tank overlooked him. Oh, wow. Let me look back to that. What? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. He is laying there. Laying flat. You can see the soldiers in the trench here, too. There's a soldier laying right here. Doesn't see him at all. No, he's fine. He's alive. Watch. He's going to duck his head down after the round goes off. Look right here. I'm going to circle it. Big circles so you can see. He's laying right here. Ukraine soldier. Ducks his head down. The tank doesn't see him at all. You see him moving now. He kind of crawls to his left. You don't want to be ran over by it, but he's got to lay down and not... Tank's right there. That'd be scary. Pucker factor for that soldier. Right next to the tank. Ukrainian artillery targeted a Russian R-330ZH Zytel electronic warfare system. Electronic warfare system. Thank you, Pam, for those 600 stars. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Pam. One more time on that one. Ukrainian artillery targeting a Russian R-330ZH Zytel electronic warfare system. Might have to look and see what that is really quick. Is that thing that we saw spinning? Hope that dog got out of there. Is that piece of equipment that we watched from the Sun post? R-330ZH Zytel. Let's look that up quick and see what it does. What kind of electronic warfare systems did Russia use against the U.S. near Crimea? A U.S. aircraft? It does look like that system. Hold on. This is all the videos of it being blown up. Nope, that's not a good video on it. I think that's the same system. The jamming station? No. All it's doing is just showing us the same video we're seeing here. Very expensive jamming system, electronic warfare. The remains of a Russian Zala 42108 UAV destroyed by a Ukrainian Strela 10. Russian artillery strikes on Ukrainian column in the Severodonetsk area. We have fighting going back and forth in this region. This is in the Donbas. I'll show you Severodonetsk on the map here shortly. Russian artillery strikes on Ukrainian column. And here is Severodonetsk. In the Donbas, you got Kramatorsk, Severodonetsk, Lysychansk. Show you guys on the war map. Back and forth in this region in the Donbas between the Russian forces and Ukrainian forces. Here's Severodonetsk. To the north and to the east, it's all Russian occupied territory. Here we got a Russian Ka-52 and an Mi-35M helicopter firing rockets into the air at Ukrainian positions in Luhansk. They raised the nose of the helicopter to get more distance. Happy birthday, Mick B. Ka-52 alligators. Let's see if that's it. From Rob Lee of the day, that looks to be it. More photos of the BMP tank support combat vehicles in the Kramatorsk area of the Luhansk Oblast. All right, and then let's go to the Ukraine war report. See if there's any video we might have missed from today. Got a cat with a Ukraine soldier. There we go. Hey, I think we'll end on this one. We're at the 2-hour mark. I think we'll end on this video for the night. 2 hours of the stream. Like the video if you guys haven't. Make sure you are following the page. You're subscribed to the channel if you have not done so. Let me know in the chat if the 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. time frame works for you. The viewer count is down about 300. So I'm not sure if it is good yet, but it's good for me to be able to get some more work done at night. But in terms of the people, we're down. They're down about 300 compared to the 9 o'clock time frame. But from what I've seen, it seems to be good. Let me know in the chat. If not, I'll do a poll and we might do 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. If this time frame is a little too early, we'll find out. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I'm Andy Mercado from Mercado Media and Mercado Media Productions. Thank you for choosing independent media as your source for the war in Ukraine. I'm going to be live on Snack Squad Gaming. I forgot to tell you guys, I'm going to be live on Snack Squad Gaming after this stream. I'm not going to be streaming video games tonight. I have work to get done. So I'm going to be streaming my building of the report from southwestern Minnesota. All right, so I have a report. There was severe storm damage, and I have to compile all that footage into a nice video to post to YouTube and Facebook. And if you're interested in tuning into that and watching me build it, and I'll do a Q&A and chat with you guys, I will do that live on Snack Squad TV on the YouTube channel. All right, so subscribe to Snack Squad TV. You can find it on Mercado Media homepage. You'll see Mercado Media on there, so you'll know you're in the right spot. You'll see our logo homepage. Subscribe to that channel. I hope to see as many of y'all as I can tonight, just for a couple hours. Thank you again for tuning in. Shout out to all of our members. Thank you to everybody that sent stickers, super chats, stars this stream. The viewer support is huge. This is my full-time job right now. I'm supported by y'all, those that tune in daily, and it really does go a long way. So thank you guys so much again. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Oh, again, coverage of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial starts at 8 a.m. Central Time. 8 a.m. Central Time, and then again at 12:30 p.m. Central Time for lunch, and then this stream starts at 7 p.m. Central Time. Take care. I'll do a poll on YouTube. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.